Alright guys, we had just a couple more pages of chapter 8. It was a long one. So I'm going to finish that and then go into chapter 9 a little bit. Dad wasn't too comfortable with things like this and said, "No, it can't wait. No, it can't." Mama let that long song finish and then said, "Turn it off, Daniel. Children, in a little bit, Daddy's going to get some vacation time and we're going to drive to Alabama. Grandma Sands is going to keep Byron for the summer. And if things don't work out, he'll stay there for next school year." This was too good to be true. A long trip in the brown bomber and no Byron the whole summer. And probably the whole year. 'Cause when it came to Byron, nothing ever worked out. Byron looked at Mama and Dad with his mouth wide open. "We've been telling you, Byron. You've been given warning after warning and chance after chance to straighten up. But instead of improving, you're getting worse. Do I have to remind you of the things you've done just this last year?" Byron still didn't close his mouth. Mama started ticking off the things that Byron called his latest fantastic adventures. "You've cut school so many times that Mr. Allums has come here 3 times to see what's wrong with you. You've been lighting fires. You've been taking change out of my purse. You've been in fights. You had that trouble up at Mitchell's food fair. You had that problem. You had that you set the mouse traps in the backyards for the birds. Fell out of the tree when you were trying to see if that poor cat always landed on its feet. You got that conch. You joined a gang. There's just too much, Byron. We can't have all this nonsense going on." I hope those weren't the only latest fantastic adventures that Mama knew about. I could list about 100 more. "That's why Grandma Sands is going to look after you for a while. You're going to run us crazy." Mama changed the tone of her voice. "You're going to like Birmingham, Byron. It's a lot different than Flint. There's a lot of nice boys your age down there who you can be friends with. There's a lot of fishing and hunting that you can do. Things are a lot better there. I love that city your grandma tells me it's quiet in our old neighborhood. She says that stuff on the TV isn't happening around her. It's just like I remembered it being. It's safe, it's quiet, and there's no buphead." Mom and Dad had threatened to send Byron to Grandma Sands about 1,000,000 times, but we never thought it would happen. This was for 3 good reasons. The first reason was Alabama was about 2 million miles from Flint, and Bi knew Mama wouldn't let him ride in the bus that far alone. He also knew it would just be impossible for her to sit on a bus with him for 3 days it took to get there. The second reason was that Mama and Dad were always threatening to do stuff to Byron that everybody knew they wouldn't. Dad had been keeping count of how many more months it would be before they could force him to join the army, but we knew they wouldn't do that. But the biggest reason Byron and Joey and me thought they'd never send him to Alabama was because we had heard so many horrible stories about how strict Grandma Sands was. The thought of living with her was so terrible that your brain would throw it out as soon as it came in. Well, Byron's brain better get used to it. We all knew by the way they'd gotten the bomber ready, and by the way Mama's voice sounded, that they meant business this time. The big, cool baby finally shut his mouth and ran into the house. He slammed the door as hard as he could, and we all heard him say, real clear, the S word. Joey said, "Ooh." Dad started going after him, but Mama said, "Let him go, Daniel. He better get as much of that nonsense out of his system as he can. Grandma Sands won't be putting up with any of that mess."